Kansas City. This is Emma Venn with Afripel. I am encouraging you to come out August 26th for the African Gospel Festival 3.0. If you're looking for a great African food, vendors, gospel artists, that will be the place to be. Highland Community Church of Christ, August 26th, beginning at 5 p.m. Call me 816-824-0275. See you there.
And good evening, and welcome to the Weekend Eve. I am Brian Kress, the awesome voice, and this is Any Given Sunday on KUAW. Coach 24, Darwin Penny, he is out and about again. He is doing his job and doing it to the best of his abilities. So I actually talked to him a couple of days ago, and he was in a rain delay down in Florida. So, but hopefully he will be back soon. Now, saying that, real quick, and well, I will say it later on when it's a little bit more important. But right now, we're at the Weekend Eve, and Darwin Penny is out of town. But running the show, the man with the action, Mr. DJ Scatter, George Walker. How are you doing this evening, sir?
Well, I'm doing just fine. I'm glad to be here and glad to be back in this seat.
Absolutely. So we were out last week because you were a little bit under the weather and just taking precautions. So we had a week off. I got to go bike riding, I guess. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have a bike. I used to, but I got rid of it. So, but I did get to work. I did get to golf. I golfed yesterday, so I totally enjoyed that. Actually, one of my guys that I golf with, one of my buddies that actually I've been bowling with for 8 years now, was telling me what I was doing wrong, because I kept, there would be a shot that I would hit really good, and then I would puke the next one. And he was telling me what I was doing wrong, so I was slowly fixing that, and I shot under a 100. I shot a 97. I was happy as a June bug. But I actually had a 75-foot chip. We were playing at Shamrock. This is out in Lee Summit. And I believe, what is it? Let's see, 11, 12, 13. It was hole 14, because we started off on the back nine. Hole 14, and we were I was near the golf cart. And so I was just like, okay, just buckle down, just get it over there. And so I hit it, and I hit it really good, but I thought, oh man, I'm going to hit it too far. And it got on the green, and it rolled left right in the pocket. And they were just like, oh my gosh, that was awesome. So yeah, that was my highlight. So it actually saved me I actually got a par on that. So, because I was just wanting to get it close enough so I could knock it in, and then I'd get a boogie. Yes, it's a bogey, but I call it a boogie. So anyway, and then a couple of holes later, I'm trying to think when it was, on the next par 5 hole. Oh, it was hole 18, and Frank, he hit his second shot 5 feet from the hole. So he was 5 feet away from hitting an albatross. and an albatross is a par 2 on a par 5, or a score 2 on a par 5. But he ended up getting an eagle, and usually they call it a double eagle, but it's actually called an albatross. So, but he came close, and so we had a really good time. It had a little bit of a rain, and it's been raining a lot lately. So, excuse me. So, yeah. So we had a great time yesterday. Enjoyed it. Definitely looking forward to golfing a couple more times next week. And so, just trying to get active and everything else. So, saying that, I am wearing a Royals jersey. And the reason why I'm wearing the Royals jersey is because today, with a 9-2 victory over the New York Mets, they have done something that they had not done all year long. Now, before they played the Minnesota Twins on Friday night, they had only won 2 games, and I believe it was 3 times that they had won 2 games in a row. No, never won 3 games in a row. So, this past weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Royals defeated the Minnesota Twins. They swept them. First place team, everything. So, so the Royals were off. They were playing the Mets, who they defeated in 2015 in the World Series to get their second championship game. And then they turned around. And on Tuesday night, Cardis, my buddy, and I, he had some tickets. So we went to the game and watched it. And it was totally enjoyable. There were 16,000 people, 16,000 plus people. You got a T-shirt. You got $1 hot dogs. Those were, the hot dogs were kind of small, but for $1, they were worth it. Totally, totally worth it. So, so we each had a couple of hot dogs, and we got our T-shirt. We could have gotten a bobblehead, but you had to pay they have a special ticket that you have to buy, and so hopefully on August 12th, it's Missouri Tiger Night, and they have a really cool jersey. So I got to figure out what I need to do to get that, and I will explain later why I am saying it like that. But anyway, the Royals were down, and then they were up. Pete Alonso crushed a pitch in the first inning, hit it 430 feet, and hit it over, I think he hit it in the drink, in the fountains, in left center field, for a 1-0 victory. Then the Royals tied it, and then they took the lead, only to watch the Mets come back and score 3 runs and take over the lead. And then in the 8th inning, they tied it. 9th inning, they went in, they tied it. It was 4-4 going into the extra inning. So the Mets go in. You have a guy at second base, and I totally forgot about that. I totally forgot that they have the runner at second base, and what it is the guy that made the last out in the previous inning will go to second base, because they're trying to speed the game up and everything like that. Well, the catcher for the Mets, Alvarez, crushed a shot straight center. And so I thought, okay, they're up 1. And then I look up a little later and I see that they're up 2 runs. And I was like, what the heck? So then I finally figured it out. And then the Royals, they came back. Bobby Witt, who had a phenomenal weekend in the 6-game series, he drives in a run, and then Melendez gets a hit, drives in Witt, ties the game again, bases loaded. The Mets get up, and something happened that has never happened in Royals history. So anyway, so they change pitchers, they get everything organized. He warms up pitching, and so the pitcher is lined up to bat or to throw a pitch, and he box in the winning run. And in the since 1969, since the Royals have been here, they have never won a game on a game-winning extra inning balk. And so Melendez was at third base. He scores, and it was 7-6. And it was pretty awesome because the Royals have started playing a lot better. During that day, they had a couple of trades, had a couple of players that actually was out on the field warming up prior to the game, and they had to tell them that they would not be playing because they had moved on to other teams. So, but then turned around yesterday, Cole Reagans, who came in from the trade with Aroldis Chapman, Texas. It was about 3 weeks ago. He was down in Omaha, or up in Omaha, came down, pitched a great game, a shutout for 6 innings, and the Royals won 4-0. And then today, Brady Singer throws 8 shutout innings, and then we had a reliever, Healy. He gives up 2 runs in the 9th. But in the positive aspect, it was 9-0 when he gave up those 2 runs. So I'm not going to talk negative anything about the Royals, but they turned around, won 6 games. They have a 6-game winning streak, and right now they are officially the hottest team in baseball. Yes, we are 40 games under 500 at 35-75, but we are the hottest team in baseball right now. So good for the Royals. I am happy for them. I don't know how much longer it's going to be, them winning or going back to how they were playing ball. But I do like the fact that they have finally started winning a little bit. It makes me happier. I still go to the games. I definitely would like to go when there are wins. And the last one was a win today. So, and yesterday, my friend Cardis, he sent me pictures telling me that he was in the seats that we had from the day before, and Fernando Lindor almost hit a ball up in the section, and there was nobody sitting in there, and so he could have just walked over and picked up the ball, unless obviously a little kid goes taking off. But he could have had the ball, but it didn't end up getting in there. So, but the Royals have done well the last 6 games, and I just want to mention some of the players that they got rid of and what they brought in. Jose KUAW went to Chicago for Nelson Velazquez, and I believe he's a right-handed pitcher. So in these trades that the Royals had, most of them are pitching, with the exception of one in particular, and I'll mention that in a minute. Luis Barroso went to Baltimore for cash. We picked up a pitcher. I believe he's a left-handed pitcher, if I'm not mistaken, Tucker Davison from the L.A. Angels for cash. So we were giving cash to them, which is ironic because usually we're trading players and we're getting the cash. And then the Dodgers, we traded Ryan Yarbrough, went to the Dodgers for second baseman Devin Mann and shortstop Darlin Figueroa. And Figueroa, I believe, is a 17-year-old kid who has a lot of upside. So people are really excited about him. And then in San Diego, we traded Scott Barlow to the Padres for right-handed pitcher Henry Williams and right-handed pitcher Jesus Rios. So, these picks and these trades are not going to make us win, but it's a small step. It's a small step moving forward to where we're trying to get to. And yes, I know people are upset and mad and frustrated about the Royals, and all they're worried about is a stadium and everything else. Look, it's going to take time. And yes, we won in 2015. It's 8 years later. We have done some really bad drafting, or at least the players that we picked that we thought were going to be really good players for us have not done what they're supposed to do. Now, Brady Singer is starting to become the stud pitcher. Bobby Witt Jr., who struggled early, he has been playing very well lately. I believe he's batting 375 since June. No. That's Felix Furman, the catcher for the Royals. And with that, they moved Salvi to first base. And I believe Salvi moved to first base on Friday night against the Minnesota Twins. So you could say that move has been very positive because the Royals have not lost ever since. Now, Carter says that we're going to win the rest of the games and go 87 and 75. It's not going to happen. But if the Royals go 28 and 24 the rest of the way, the last 52 games, then we will have a 99 loss season and not the 117, 118 loss season that we were on pace to have. So I am happy. I will be ecstatic if the Royals end up only losing 99 games or less. It's kind of like me in my golf. If I'm shooting over 100, it's not good. But if I shoot under 100, yeah, it's still not good, but it's better and improving. So I think really that will definitely benefit us. So just keep hoping that the Royals will do well and get that. And now they have a goal to shoot for, because for a while, until the 6-game losing streak was up, we were 46 games under 500, and we were on pace to challenge the New York Mets 120 loss season back in 1962. Yes, and I was not born. I was 4 years away before my parents decided to get their act together and bring me along. So, but the fact is that now we do have a goal to play better and work better as a team and to keep from losing 100 games. And to me, if we do not lose 100 games or more this year, then that is a plus. I would look at that as a win. Yes, do we want them in the playoffs? Absolutely, but they're 20 games back, and there's a lot of teams ahead of them. I mean, they really would have to play Tampa Bay Ray ball like how they started the season. They would have to play like that to even have a shot at the playoffs. But, if we can just get a little better, that would be awesome. So I am just very, very, very happy with that. And so speaking of that, with the we've got the trade lines. The trade had ended on the 1st of August. So there were some big teams that had big trades. So like Houston and the Texas Rangers got the New York Mets' top 2 pitchers, and those 2 pitchers were. I believe it was like $75 million between them this year or something like that. But the Astros got Verlander, and then Texas got Scherzer. And today Scherzer started for the Rangers, started off slow, gave up 3 runs in the first inning, and then he turned around and pitched very well, and they got a victory that keeps them in first place in the AL West. So, but we're going to look at some of the teams that won the trade deadlines and the teams that did not win. So the Angels won just purely for the fact that they did not trade Shani Otani, and they brought in some players to help him out because Otani is just hitting lights out. He is as you would say, the modern day Babe Ruth, who could pitch and hit. And I believe he leads baseball in home runs, and he has one of the lowest ERAs in baseball. So that is amazing. It's hard enough to do one of the two, but he's doing both of them, and he is succeeding very, very, very well. The Texas Rangers, they improved, obviously getting Scherzer. They spent a lot of money in the past 2 years. In fact, they spent like $700 million in the past 2 years trying to build this team. And right now they grabbed a few more players. They grabbed Jordan Montgomery, Chris Stratton from the Cardinals, Scherzer from the Mets, Austin Hedges from the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's a catcher. I guess, because Jonah Hine, their starting catcher, is injured right now, and he was an all-star. But Texas is in place to go to the playoffs, make it to the World Series, and try to win their first world championship. Baltimore Orioles are moving. I mean, because Baltimore Orioles were like the Royals. They were a horrible team. They were always drafted in the top 5 or top 10, and they are finally their prospects are finally starting to pay off. And as they are in first place in the AL East, which is the toughest division in baseball, AL East by far is the toughest division. The Yankees are over 500, but they are in last place. That should tell you something. They are in 5th place and just totally struggling. But they would be ahead of Minnesota and Cleveland in the AL Central right now if they were put over there. So then you've got the Arizona Diamondbacks, and I believe, and I'm going to have to check this, they have been playing horrible baseball. They've only won 33% of baseball this past month. They were 8-16, but they were the only team not to get shut out. So I'll have to check that out sometime, if not tonight, maybe another time, to see if they have still not gotten shut out. So, but the Miami Marlins are looking good. They're moving up. The Philadelphia Phillies, they're improving. Though I'm not a big Phillies fan, but they got Mike Lorenzen, and he pitched today, and he got a victory. I believe he pitched 8 shutout innings, so he did very well today. You got the Toronto Blue Jays, and you've got those winning teams. Now the teams that struggled, the Cleveland Guardians. They didn't really do anything to move up. They gave up Josh Bell, who was from the Pittsburgh Pirates, who went to the San Diego Padres last year, and they picked him up, and they sold him away, and I can't remember who they gave him to, but they're not going nowhere. So right now it's Minnesota's division to win or division to lose. The Padres, who are my team, outside the Royals are first, and San Diego is like 1A, or Royals are 1A, and Padres are 1B. They've spent a lot of money. They ended up getting Scott Barlow, but they are struggling. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. They're in the fourth. I think they're in fourth place. Only the Colorado Rockies are worse than they are. So, and then you've got the Giants, who are only 2.5 games back of the Dodgers. But did they do anything? They picked up a couple of picks, but they really haven't done nothing aggressive to make a move. And you can't make a move now. You used to be able to, if you let go of a guy, let's just say the Royals let go of me, and then if nobody claimed me within like 24 hour, or I think it's 24-hour deal, then they could turn around and trade me to another team. Well, you can't do that now. So everything that happened on the 1st of August is all done. So you can't do anything else. I mean, you can let go of players, but not like how I just said it. So in Minnesota, even though they haven't done very well, they're still the team to beat. And here's the one, the New York Yankees. Usually the Yankees are giving away a prospect to bring in a big name to help boost the Yankees, and right now they're hitting as almost as dismal as the Royals. And you've got Aaron Judge, who last year set an AL record in home runs, and he is not hitting as well as he should have, and he needs a lot of help because nobody is helping him. Stanton is not doing that well. Rizzo is not doing that well. And so I just don't see them. I just do not see them getting near the playoffs, though they are still in the race for the wild card. And that's the great thing about adding on a wild card team, because it brings them in. And then I just saw that Domingo Germán, who threw the perfect game last month, or actually it was, I believe, in June, is out for the season. So that's another hit against the Yankees that is going to hurt them. So right now we are at halftime on Any Given Sunday on KUAW. Brian Kress, the Awesome Voice, Darwin Penny, Coach 24, and DJ Scatter, George Walker. So we're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about some sport that's going on right now. I think it's starting up or something. I'm not sure, but I'm going to have Mr. Walker help me out and try to see if we can figure this out. This is Brian Kress. So we'll see you shortly.
Gospel Festival 3.0. If you're looking for a great African food, vendors, gospel artists, that will be the place to be. Highland Community Church of Christ, August 26th, beginning at 5 p.m. Call me 816-824-0275. See you there.
Oh.
Hello, Kansas City. This is Emma Ben with Afripel. I am encouraging you to come out August 26th for the African Gospel Festival 3.0. If you're looking for a great African food, vendors, gospel artists, that will be the place to be. Highland Community Church of Christ, August 26th, beginning at 5 p.m. Call me 816-824-0275. See you there.
Okay. Go. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay, we are back on any given Sunday on KUAW. Brian Kress, the Awesome Boys, Coach 24 Darwin Penny, and DJ Scatter George Walker. 816-599-6893 is the phone number if you want to come in and speak your piece. Please do so. We will welcome it very much. So, I was looking at women's soccer right now, and the U.S. barely struggled to make it into the round of 16. And I was telling somebody that, I was like, they really have not been performing well. Excuse me. They hadn't performed well. In fact, usually when they get into the round of 16, they usually have won 2 games. They didn't do that this time for the first time in their history. So, there's a lot of things going on. But then turned around, found out Germany, the number 2 team in this tournament, is out. They're not even going to play in the top 16. So, maybe the USA will get it together and they will start playing better and go back because they are the heavy favorites. And so I just did not see them. I wasn't sure if they were going to win the next game because these next games now, it's win or go home. So, but they are still in it. So let's go USA. Bring that cup back. So definitely do that. So, but there is something going on tonight, and I'm not quite sure. Maybe Mr. DJ Scatter can help me with this. What's the sport that's supposed to be coming up any moment now?
What sport is coming up?
Yeah. It's had the summer off and
Pickleball.
oh, pickleball. Is that what it is? Awesome. There we go.
Yeah, they're starting a league. Now, let's see. A game they've been off this summer.
Yeah.
And they
they haven't played in like 4 or 5 months. So.
Wow. Hard to think. Do many people watch it?
I think so. I don't know. I've got a Royals jersey on.
Oh.
I'm not.
Well, I think it's getting ready to be time for the old NFL to fire back up. National Football League.
Oh,
y'all.
my goodness. Absolutely. So as soon as this show is over, on TV, on NBC, Channel 8 if you've got if you have Comcast. I don't know the channels on the other stations or Hulu or Netflix or YouTube or however you get it. But it is on NBC, and the Hall of Fame game is tonight with the New York Jets facing the Cleveland Browns. Now you have 2.
Who's going to be starting quarterback?
Well, for the Browns, I do not know. I do know that Deshaun Watson is not playing. I do know for 1,000% sure, if I was putting money down, it would be easy money. Aaron Rodgers is not playing. But I will say that Zach Wilson is going to start. I believe he's going to start because he's going to need all the work. But with Aaron Rodgers, he's got at least a good mentor to help him. And after Aaron Rodgers leaves, because he did lower his pay this year from $50 million to $37.5 million. Ooh, that is a lot of money. But
that's a big sacrifice.
Right.
It's hard to make it on $37
but
million.
He signed a 2-year deal for this year and next year for $75 million. So in a sense, he gets the $50 million. He's just not going to get quite as much next year. But he didn't have that in the first place. So, but anyway, but Aaron Rodgers is been the big talk of the NFL. Not Patrick Mahomes, not Travis Kelce, not Joe Burrow, not even Josh Allen. It's been Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. And the Jets have been talked about as the team that's going to dethrone the Chiefs. They're going to go to the Super Bowl. They're going to go to somewhere they haven't been since Joe Namath in 1968. Go to the Super Bowl and obviously win it.
They're due.
They are due, but we don't know. But, Aaron Rodgers has been talked down in not necessarily a bad, not in bad news, but that he was not performing as well as he had. Even though 2 years ago he did win the MVP, which I still don't get how he ended up winning the MVP when it should have been Tom Brady. And then last year, obviously, Patrick Mahomes won it and then won the Super Bowl and everything else. In fact, he became the first quarterback to win the MVP and win a Super Bowl. So he was the first one to win MVP and Super Bowl MVP in the same year. So that is pretty awesome. But the game is tonight. But you have Aaron Rodgers on one side, and you got Deshaun Watson on the other side. Now, Deshaun Watson is 12 years younger than Aaron Rodgers, but he has become easily one of the most hated players in the NFL. Not necessarily hated by the players, but by necessarily fans because of his off-field stuff. It wasn't his on-field stuff that was the issue, because he was a pretty doggone good quarterback. You could compare him when he was playing his first couple of years with Patrick Mahomes, with Josh Allen, with Joe Burrow, and with Aaron Rodgers at that time. And then his extracurricular activities, as you would say, was really a bad thing. And, he has been out of football for a year and a half. He comes back last year, plays half a season, throws 7 touchdown passes in 6 games, 58% passing. He looked horrendous. Our backup quarterback looked much better than he did. So now you're going to wonder, is Cleveland Browns going to be a team that can challenge a very, very tough AFC North division? Because you've got the Bengals, who are right now the number one team that is after Kansas City, that can give Kansas City a run for their money. You can't say, well, you've beaten Cincinnati 12 straight times. No, Cincinnati and Joe Burrow has won more games against Patrick Mahomes than Patrick Mahomes has against Cincinnati and Joe Burrow. So you got them, and then you got the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season in 12 years of coaching for the Pittsburgh Steelers. In fact, the last time a team or the Pittsburgh Steelers has had a losing team, it was in 2003. I was in my 30s. I was actually young and good looking. Well, I guess I could still be good looking, but I'm not young anymore. But it had been a long time since the Pittsburgh Steelers had a losing season. And you got the upcoming Baltimore Ravens with a rejuvenated Lamar Jackson, getting healthy, and they're building on there. Now, you don't know how they're going to do, but you can't say that they are not having a chance. Now, with that, Lamar Jackson still needs to win a playoff game before you could even put him in the realm of one of the top-tier quarterbacks. But when he has been healthy, he has been very productive and very good. So, but, yeah, you've got Deshaun Watson. You don't know what he's going to do. And if he doesn't perform well this year, things are not going to look good. Now, the one thing that he has is his youth. He's 27 years old, and I remember watching football as a kid and everything. They always said that your prime was from 28 to 32. Well, he's 27 years old, so he still hasn't reached that prime yet, but he still has the athletic ability, you hope, and hoping that he will get it back. But more than ever, I just hope that he straightens his life out and doesn't become the monster that everybody thinks he is, or could be what he is. So it depends. So but that's the thing, because you've got one team that's talking Super Bowl, and you've got another team that's hoping to be able to get at least some type of a realm to make it, in the AFC North. So, but with this game, there are some players and former players and coaches that got elected into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and there are 9 of them, and so I will go there. You have Rondé Barber, you have Don Coryell. So Rondé Barber was the defensive back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Don Coryell, who coached for San Diego and the St. Louis Cardinals, nicknamed Air Coryell for his innovative pass offense in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You got Chuck Howley, who is still the only player to win MVP in a losing team in the Super Bowl. Then you've got Joe Klecko. Now, Chuck Howley was voted by the senior committee. So was Joe Klecko and Ken Riley, a defensive back for the Cincinnati Bengals, who he played in the 60s and 70s. Joe Klecko played for the New York Jets, was teamed with Mark Gastineau to provide one of the best pass rushes in the 80s. So, and then you've got Darrelle Revis, who they actually named an island after him because of his abilities to play cornerback. Zach Thomas, a linebacker for the Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots. And then DeMarcus Ware, who played for the Dallas Cowboys and then turned around and ended up winning a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos. And then the last one, and I saved this one for last, was Joe Thomas. So from the time that he was a rookie in 2007, he played 10,363 snaps consecutively until a knee injury knocked him out of football. And I want to say it was like 2018, yeah, it had to be 2018 because he's 5 years. But he played 12 straight years, did not take a break. He played consecutive snaps, which is, to me, kind of a Cal Ripken type streak. That, to me, that's impressive. Because an offensive lineman, because you may tweak yourself or you may get knocked silly and you have to go out for one play. He never did. He kept playing snap after snap after snap. So I'm going to mention these guys and what they are. Rondé Barber from Tampa Bay, he is the only player with more than 40 interceptions and 25 snaps in his NFL career. The only player. That is amazing. He is also the second player to have more than 1,000 tackles and 40 interceptions, along with Hall of Famer Charles Woodson. And he had 47 picks, 28 career sacks in 241 games. Now, it took him 6 tries to get in there, but he did. And then you've got Darrelle Revis. They called him Revis Island because you could leave him on there. And at the time, he was playing for the New York Jets, who went to 2 straight AFC championship games, only to lose them. But his 95 pass defenses during his first 5 seasons are most by any player since the stat was first tracked in 1991. His 31 pass defenses in that historic 2009 season is tied for the 3rd most in a single campaign. Now, he did this in his first ballot, and rightfully so, he deserves it. Now, he ended up his career with Kansas City, and he is on the 2010 All-Decade team. Now you got Joe Thomas. He is the Iron Man. He played. He started 167 straight games, making 10 Pro Bowls. But he logged 10,363 consecutive snaps, but he did not play in one single postseason. That was probably the one thing that you looked at that you go, okay, what did he not do? Well, that's not totally his fault because it wasn't for his ability, and he did it also on his first try. And in his 10th year of eligibility, Zach Thomas finally got in. He was a 5th-round pick of the Dolphins in '96. He played. He ended up playing for Miami with Dan Marino, but at that time, Miami wasn't going back to the Super Bowl. But he was the stalwart. He was the leader of the defense of the Miami Dolphins. He ended up playing 1 year in Dallas, but I could have sworn he also played in with New England, but maybe he didn't. So, but he also played at in the 2000s he had 1,181 tackles in the 2000s, which was the 3rd most behind London Fletcher, who played for the Rams, and I can't remember the other. Buffalo, and Ray Lewis. So, but yeah. And then you got DeMarcus Ware. He was a very fierce passer, totally dominated with the Cowboys. But when he came to the Broncos, he went when Peyton Manning was signed by Denver in 2014, and then 2 years later they won the Super Bowl. In fact, Super Bowl 50, and so he ended up getting a LeBron, or he got a ring, a trophy, 117 sacks. I mean, he had 117 sacks for the Cowboys, 138 and a half all time, which is the 9th most in NFL history and the 3rd most in 21st century. So after 2000, he has the 3rd most. Don Coryell, I believe he has passed. Yeah, he passed away in 2010. But I remember him in St. Louis in the 70s. He won Coach of the Year in 1974. That should tell you something. I remember that. I was 8 years old, but I remember that. But he had Jim Hart as the quarterback, and so he was a very good innovator for passing. And so after he went to St. Louis, he went to, and this is the St. Louis Cardinals. Then he went to San Diego Chargers, and Eric Coryell, I mean, they were the highest scoring offense in 1980, 1981, ended up going into the AFC Championship game where they played Cincinnati in that frigid cold weather, which kind of stalled that offense and ended up Cincinnati winning. But he is he was amazing uh, offensive coach and head coach, and he led the league in passing in 7 of his 8 seasons with the Chargers. So, but he is already a Hall of Famer at San Diego State. Now he's in the Hall of Fame. Now you got Chuck Howley. He is the player who, when in Super Bowl V, they lost to the Dallas Cowboys lost to the Baltimore Colts on a last-second field goal by Jim Lassie O'Brien, and he became the first and only player on a losing team to be named MVP. Because I will say this, that game was not a very good game. It was a very mistake-free game, or mistakeful game. And so, but saying that didn't stop him from being a great player. Now, he was drafted in the first round of the Bears in 1958. That is a long time ago. That was 8 years before I was thought of. And he ended up playing 13 seasons. In fact, he played the next year and got I believe he got a interception. I don't think he got a pick six, but he got an interception. So he ended up winning a Super Bowl for Dallas. And after that Super Bowl, that's when he retired in 1971. So he joins former teammates Roger Staubach, Bob Lilly, Mel Renfro, and Bob Hayes in the Hall of Fame. So and Tom Landry and Tex Schramm. And then you've got Joe Klecko. Joe Klecko was part of the team that he had 20 and a half sacks in 1981 with the Jets. With him, Marty Lyons, Abdul Salam, and Mark Gastineau, they did terrorize quarterbacks. And they made it to the AFC Championship game, and I believe it was 1982, where they ended up losing to the Los Angeles Raiders. So he finally got in, and so that was and actually the New York Jets were called the New York Sack Exchange. I remember that now. So sometimes I have to look at this to see this. So now you got Ken Riley. He was a cornerback. He was drafted in 1969. He played in the 70s and 80s, not 60s. My apologies. 70s and 80s. He was one of the game's best interceptors. He had 65 career interceptions, fifth most in history, behind Paul Krause, Emil Tunnel, Rod Woodson, and Night Train Lane. Riley, he did pass away in 2020, so he was unable to see himself make it to the Hall of Fame. But congratulations, Ken. And so we've got all the players, and it's a pretty good class. But definitely I'm looking forward to seeing some football. It is not going to be the greatest football tonight, so nothing massive, but it's just the fact that the guys are going to be lined up, they're going to be playing, and that tells you that football season is right around the corner. So I will probably sit at home also while I'm watching the game and do a couple of fantasy football leagues on ESPN, the free ones. So I will definitely check that out. So, but I said that I had a announcement to make. Next week we will not have a show. I will be in Las Vegas on vacation, getting away, hanging out with some friends, enjoying myself. And I am hoping that I can find somebody that will be good enough that they could go to Royal Stadium on August 12th and get me that Missouri jersey. And it's yellow it's yellow with black, and it looks awesome. But I'm going to have to try to figure out a way for somebody to go so I can buy it and then give it to the person so they can get it for me. So if anybody wants to do that, I would greatly appreciate it. You guys know me on Facebook. Look me up. And with that, I am Brian Kress, the Awesome Voice, with my brother with another mother, Darwin Penny, Coach 24, DJ Scatter, George Walker, producer and runs this show so awesome. Thank you, everybody, for watching me. And with that, I am be awesome, not angry, and you guys have yourself a great sports weekend.